There are a lot of reasons I've dovetailed into these videos. I want to tell jokes, all right? I want to go on stage as like an Englishman, right? And I want to, make fun of American people because, with a dialect that's not from the United States, people lose their damn mind. They go off the reservation. They love it. They're really into it. I love that. I want to do that. That's one of the reasons I do French accent. That's why I learned to do Scotland, and I'm not allowed to do this one on stage because it is just too dank. But here's the thing. Right now, most comedy is on Zoom mics, which, hey, they're fun. I appreciate them. But the truth of the matter is they're not really a comedy show. And the thing is, my Uber goal is to make a film. You need money for that. I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. See, a lot of the people I work with are against me. I'm a conservative. Now, I'm not a prude. There's a lot of things traditional conservatives are against that I'm not. I just believe in scripture and I try and lead my life that way. I believe in that because it's true. And the more you look into it, you're going to find that. But you're also going to find insights into the world that you couldn't find any other way. So here's something really worth thinking about. I believe it was one of the Roosevelts once said that a thorough knowledge of Scripture is better than a collegiate education. And there's a reason he said that. If you really understand Scripture, you gain an insight into reality that very few people have, because Scripture reveals itself as a trans-temporal message from without the boundaries of space and time. It shows that time is inferior to a greater force, and that the actions we have on earth are not totally reflective of true reality. Earth is like a kindergarten. Death is like first grade. Life is the loading bar on your computer before the desktop boots and you can click on files and stuff with your little cursor. So the reality is that this reality, though everything you and I do in it has very real consequences, it's sort of a holding pattern. It's sort of a testing ground. It's not the be-all and end-all. A lot of people live their lives under the impression that what we experience now is all there's ever going to be. And if that's the case, then, lie, cheat, steal, have all the sex and drugs you want, and don't let anybody stop you. Because you're going to die. And when you're dead, that's it. You're just dust in the ground. Your component molecules decompose and are reclaimed by the earth to be sucked up by plants and crapped out in flowers or fruits later on that the birds will eat, digest, and turn into more dirt, and the cycle continues. It's the circle of life. But here's the deal. That is not the totality of existence. They found that the brain is more like a receiver for an antenna, a signal. That signal is your soul. Now, the United States Intelligence Agency understands this. The thing about the U.S. intelligence, you got to understand, it's not a monolith. It's compartmentalized, and I don't think anybody really knows the depth and breadth of it because there's so many different agencies. Let me just read you this Wikipedia article. According to Wikipedia, now Wikipedia is biased. It's updated by little fat dudes living in Washington singing opera who have no social life and never will have one, and they're not getting paid for it. They get off on what they perceive as power. I've met these people. They're cheese weasels and a waste of your time. But here's what it says. The Washington Post, again, swamp creatures, so this is either underselling or overselling it, but it's not giving us the straight picture. It's giving us their version of it. Reported in 2010 that there were 1,271 government organizations and 1,931 private companies in 10,000 locations in the United States that were working on counterterrorism, homeland security, and intelligence, and that intelligence community as a whole includes 854,000 people holding top secret clearances. 854,000 people out of 1,271 government organizations hold top secret clearances. 1,900 plus organizations aren't owned by the government. Can you do the math here? That's going to be millions of people involved in the United States intelligence community. I would say that 10 million is probably a high mark. Under 1 million, no. There's definitely over 1 million people involved. There are 350 million people in the United States, 328 million on the official books, at least 22 million that are illegal or what have you, or haven't been put on the books yet. The Amish and Hutterite communities have babies born all the time that likely don't get cataloged directly. There's a lot of communities that have that going on. Hey, guess what? You don't have to be born at a hospital and be put into the grid system of surveillance from the time you take your first breath. And there are millions of people in the United States who aren't there. And I think that should be more the case. I don't know, though. I mean, what kind of money am I going to have when I finally get a gal pregnant? But here's the point. If there's only 1 million people in the United States intelligence community, that means 1 out of 350 people is involved in CIA, FBI, NSA shenaniganery that we really don't know about. That means if you've got 700 friends on Facebook, at least 2 of them, statistically speaking, are involved in the intelligence community. Could be as many as 6 or 20. We don't know. I have 4,820, right? So that's a minimum of 3 per 1,000, 3 times 5. I got at least 15 in there, conservatively speaking. We have all these sock accounts showing up all the time. See, one of the reasons I'm doing these videos is because people don't read anymore. They don't crunch the numbers. They don't think critically. They see numbers and they just kind of tune out. And that's understandable. We've been taught to do that by intelligence communities foisting operations on us like Common Core, which is designed to make people less intelligent because they're afraid of learning because it's so difficult, and accordingly they're easier to control. Just try and look at the official way to do a simple addition problem with Common Core, and you'll find it's needlessly retarded. And I'm going to use the term retarded because political correctness is another means by which they stifle critical thinking for narrative adherence, and that is straight out of 1984. That's an intelligence community psychological operation, or PSYOP. COVID-19, the coronavirus, which developed out of Wuhan in China, is also a psychological operation. George Floyd's death is being co-opted that way. I don't know if it was orchestrated that way, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, these intelligence communities seeded crack cocaine through South California in the 80s to fund the war with the Sandinistas in South America, off the books. That's how they got their black budget funding. There's a Made in America with Tom Cruise. I mean, this has gone mainstream. Everybody knows about this. And guess who? Sorry, allergies, little snot bubble there. Guess who had their fingers all the way inside that pie? The Clintons. The Clintons are some evil sons of bitches who practice voodoo, Santeria, and the whole 9 yards. All right? There's a thing called Fraggle Drip. You don't even want to know about this. It was in Anthony Weiner's life insurance file on his computer. Apparently it shows Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin graphically abusing a child for the purposes of collecting the substance adrenochrome, which is when the adrenal gland gets saturated through adrenaline and fear, and drinking that blood. And the best way to do that is to just torture the hell out of somebody, apparently. I don't know. I'm not into that stuff. But Hunter S. Thompson talked about adrenochrome in his novel Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which was semi-autobiographical and included his lawyer, this guy whose last name is Acosta, getting a pedophile out of his consequences in court, and the pedophile paying him in adrenochrome. Now, that novel came out in the 70s. That's a long time ago. This sort of nastiness has been percolating in the background of reality for a long time in this country. And here's the thing. Intelligence communities have their fingers deep in those pies. And there's between 1 and 10 million of them in this country. I say it's probably right around 3 or 4 million when you look at about 3,000 agencies. If you just think of 100 people per agency, well, let's just do the math right quick. What's 100 times 3,000? That's 300,000. 1,000 times 3,000 is 3 million. 10,000 times 3,000 is 30 million. So that's going to be your range, because the CIA is going to have more than 1,000 people. Another video coming.